everyone, this is Kevin from thechesswebsite.com, and today we're going to be going over the Scotch game, or the Scotch offense. Kind of look at some of the key concepts of the opening and some of the things you should look out for when you play it. So we'll go ahead and dive in. White's first move is e4, black responds e5, white develops knight f3, black responds knight c6, and this is a common opening that you'll see many times, and from here most people are familiar with the Ruy Lopez, which is the b6 with the bishop, but today we're going to be going over the Scotch game, which is simply pawn to d4. And right away you can see a difference in what our strategy is. We are trying to undermine black's center control of this pawn. We're going to open up the center here, which should give black some counter play. But we should have a pretty good center control as far as the d5 square with our pawn, and should have a very good game. And we're going to go over some of the mainline variations so that you're familiar with them if you do come across this as white or black, so you can know how to play. So from here, almost always you will see black just capture. Keep in mind you will see, weak players always do tend to make mistakes, as well as blitz games. So if you do see something like pawn to d6, you can always capture, and then depending on how they capture, if they try to capture here, if they do their knight, you can capture their knight. Eventually they'll move their pawn, and you can capture their queen, and they'll have to move their king. Obviously you can look at this and realize that this is not a very good game for black, as we're equal in material, but black can no longer castle. So if you do see them try to defend like this, go ahead and take advantage of that. But most people are not going to do that. So after black captures, white's going to just recapture with his knight. Now keep in mind, black has a few options here, and we're going to go over each of them. One of the less likely scenarios is that black just recaptures here. It's probably not a good move. White can just come in and recapture with this queen, and the queen's not really developed too early. A lot of times you can develop your queen too early, and then a knight can, with a tempo, come and chase your queen away. But here the c6 knight would actually be the piece that would chase our queen away. Black can always come down with c5, but it's not really a good move. It's blocking in his bishop here, and white can just bring his queen back to d3, and we still have great center control, and our queen is actually in a pretty good spot. So you won't see that one too often, but the three main lines that we're going to talk about today, the first one is just queen to h4. You'll see this sometimes. Black basically tries to get a free pawn here, and in exchange white's going to get rapid development, and he's going to have a very strong attack, and black's king is going to be at a huge weakness. And we're going to go over the main line of this variation real quick. White develops his knight, protecting this pawn on the e4 square, and black's going to develop his bishop, dark square bishop, at the b4 square, attacking and pinning down our knight, so that this e4 square is being attacked again from this queen, but can no longer be defended by this knight on c3. And we are going to bring our bishop to e2. Yes, our pawn is going to fall, but we do want to castle so that our knight is no longer pinned. And after the queen takes, then we are going to move our knight to a nifty square, the b5 square, where it can't be touched, and at the same time it's threatening this c7 square. This pawn cannot move, and so we're going to be taking this. Obviously, if the bishop can always move back, but then we can just take that piece. So from here, you'll normally just see the bishop take to give white double pawns, and we will take as well. And now you'll normally see just black move his king over. He doesn't want to lose this pawn here. And then from here, white's just going to castle. And so if you look at this, we are actually down a pawn, but our development is much better, and we should have a much better game. Black's king is in a very bad position, and if played correctly, we actually should win this the majority of the time. So that is one variation. The next variation we're going to go over after this is simply f6, the development of the black knight here. And from here we're just going to develop, instead we're going to just take this knight on c6. Sometimes you'll see a development by white to the c3 square. But I like to give my opponent as many chances to make a mistake as possible. And I personally don't mind if he takes with his c pawn and doubles up his c and b pawns. I really like playing against that. And if for any reason he chooses to take with the d pawn, which a lot of times people make mistakes, you can, like we talked about earlier, come in and capture with your queen, and then he is forced to recapture with his king, and his king can no longer castle. So the subtle things like that, where if you're equal in material, and you can force the king, the black king, away from castling, you should have a very good game. Another variation you'll see is bishop to c5, and from here we're actually going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to capture this knight. As long as this knight's here, for the most part, we're just going to capture it. Obviously, we talked about earlier, if the knight captures our knight, what we do. But from here, same thing. If they try to recapture with the pawn, that is completely okay. And if they try to recapture with this pawn, again, we can always come down and take with our queen, and he's forced to recapture. Obviously, then we are going to develop our bishop and then castle kingside, and we still have, our bishop can easily be developed, and our knight can easily be developed, and they're not blocked in at all. As we said earlier on, it's a very open game, so both sides are not going to be blocked in like some of the other openings as far as your pieces. So in this type of game, bishops usually fare better because the game is open. So just keep that in mind if you have an exchange and they are offering up their bishop for your knight. I would go ahead and take that, since bishops are going to play better. But these are some of the main variations of the Scotch game. So if you're a player that normally runs into the Ruy Lopez, a lot of players study how to defend the Ruy Lopez very, very well. And so if you're getting into a game and you see the game starting to turn towards the Ruy Lopez, and you notice that your opponent seems pretty happy about this, you can always just throw a wrench in his game plan. Just play d4, the Scotch game, and if you're familiar with it and all the variations of it, you should have a very good game, and a lot of times will just catch your opponent off guard. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, helps out a lot, as I've told y'all in other videos. Leave me comments, let me know what you guys think of the videos, how things are going. Fairly new to YouTube, it's only been a few weeks now, but trying to put up a lot more videos, trying to help you guys out a lot on all the openings, and then I'm going to kind of get into the middle game and how to analyze a board and how to play during the middle of the game, and then we'll get into in-game tactics. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next video. Thanks.